All right, Kevin here, and I am back with you for another episode of the Million Dollar Relationships podcast. And I'll tell you, I am really, I pretty much, Gio, I pretty much say I'm really excited for this interview today, and I say that on every damn interview. But yet it's the truth, man. And so, Gio and I go back. Well, first of all, Gio, thank you for taking the time to be here today and to have this conversation. I'm really stoked for this, man.
So am I. Thank you so much for having me.
And I still think I don't remember what that. I know you and I were at a Genius Network event in New York City, and we went out to dinner one night. Just you and I. We went out for. Do you remember the name of the place? I can't remember the name. It was
I wish
place.
we just went out walking, thinking, let's find a place. Yep. And whatever this restaurant was, and this is 2012, August 2012. There was a phone booth, and you had to walk through the phone booth, and then you were in a room with like some dressed up vampires and characters, and we ended up in this giant restaurant with animatronics, and it was one of the coolest experiences. And we just serendipitously found this place near Times Square. I can't remember what it was called.
I can't remember either, but it was an experience I'll never forget. And it not just a restaurant, it was what was taking place between you and I that evening. We sat there at that table, and you started sharing your vision for Archangel. And I remember, and you were like, and I want to have, I want to have space for up and coming entrepreneurs to be able to come and interact with entrepreneurs who are already, got years of experience and stuff. And you're kind of mapping this out. And I'm like, well, shit, Gio, I'm in. And you're like, I need to raise a little bit of money because I want to be able to cover their expenses and all that. And I'm like, shit. I don't remember how much I donated or anything, but I was like, you got me. And I did. And so, and now to look back, so 10 years ago, and look at what's happened in 10 years, it's mind-boggling, Gio. It's absolutely mind-boggling. And this podcast is all about relationships. It's about honoring somebody in your life. It's about and I know, this, I'm just really excited for whatever you're going to share today. But let's start off by just letting you share a little bit about who you are, what you do, who you serve, what motivates you to do what you do, and we'll just set some context first. So we'll start there, and I'll just turn it over to you, Gio.
Thank you. So the company is Archangel, and it's also the name of the community, and who we serve are entrepreneurs who are change makers, who want to impact the lives of a lot of people, who are kind and humble and here to make an impact and serve. And since that dinner, we've had 25,000 people come through our events and coaching programs and mastermind groups. And all of them are growing and helping a lot more people. And that's the through line. From various industries and backgrounds and countries, yet we are all here with a mission. And the mission is to help and impact as many people as possible.
Yeah. Wow. That is, the power of a vision right there, and I don't know how many other people that you spoke to, like around that time frame 10 years ago. But I know that, when you shared the vision with me, I definitely caught it. And I'm like, dang, I want to get involved in this. I want to be a part of this and stuff. So for you, what's been the most rewarding thing for you personally that's come from this journey that you've been on over the last, and of course the journey is much longer than 10 years, but the Archangel journey that's 10 years we're into now?
The thing that lights me up the most, there's two. One is transformation stories of people's evolution, of how they've grown as an individual and they've impacted more people and they have more confidence and they're making more money and they're doing bigger things and they're dreaming at a bigger level that they never thought possible. And the second thing is the stories of connection. So, and I know you'll get this and this will really resonate, but people will always come into our world with an outcome that they want, or a transformation, or they want to learn from someone, or they want to be educated in some way. And then they stick around because they meet the people in the group. And they're like, this is a community of real life superheroes. There's people like me out there in this world, and the stories of the individual connections and the memories that are made. Yeah. I often struggle. I'm always trying to find different ways to talk about what I do in a unique way. And one of them is that I feel like I'm a memory maker.
Okay.
Where we create experiences that have an emotional connection to them, to the bond of the experience, but also people meeting each other and then never forgetting where they met. And then the impact that they get to create together in whatever that context is. Some people have met at my events and now they're married. Some people have collaboration. Some people, one person has the solution to someone else's huge problem that they've been struggling with for years. Mm-hmm. And it's getting that feedback of, because I met blankety blank at your event, this is what happened. Yeah. Or because I met them in this program you run, this is what happened. So it's the stories of individual transformation and then the stories of connection that are my two favorite things.
Yeah. Yeah. I think back, I remember, because I went to the event, I met Nick Kuzmich at one of your events. And of course, he's become a well-known name in certain circles now. But back then, he was, in fact, if I remember the story correctly, he really stepped into his gifts, his superpower, his what Dan Sullivan would call unique ability at one of your events. It kind of the whole transformation took place there. Am I having that? Do I got that right?
It was actually at our very ever first event in Toronto.
Okay.
The one, so we did, our first ever event was January 2014 in Toronto. And then we did our May 2014 that you came to in LA, which was our first mastermind event. And in between those 2 months or a few months, he came to the January event. I didn't know him at all. He just saw an ad for that, or someone invited him. And at the time he called himself like a marketing consultant. And then he realized people need help with Facebook ads, and he knew how to do it. And then by the May event, I was introducing him to people at my event, and he started working with them, and then led him to working with Joe Polish and just connecting to different networks. And now, he's literally one of the top people in that space.
Yeah. And he has just blown up since then, man, and is doing all kinds of training events and just, it's amazing what has happened to him.
Yeah, and I'm not like taking credit for his success. I love to be a catalyst for those.
Yeah, kind of a conduit and stuff. Yeah, absolutely. You bet. And but that's a great example of the kind of stuff that happens at your events and stuff. Okay, so let's shift gears here just a little bit. And I'll reiterate the question for the benefit of everybody listening. Have you ever been introduced to a person that completely changed the course of your life or your business, so much so that much of what you have today would not be possible if not for this person? And Gio, I am just really excited to hear your story, your experience around this, as well as be able to honor somebody who has had such a profound impact on your life and on your business.
Yeah, so there are actually two individuals, and they're very much connected, and it's so hard to pick one, but I almost feel like it's one mega person.
One mega person. Love it.
Just because of my own story, my own path, and I want to share the story. It's very impactful. And the two individuals are Dan Sullivan, a founder of Strategic Coach, and Joe Polish, founder of Genius Network. both of which I actually met you in 2004. It was a very fast meeting, so it wasn't really us connecting. We really connected at Joe's event in 2012. But the story is, it was the summer of 2002, and I needed a job, and I was out of a job. I was out of work, and I was getting married to my now ex-wife. But our wedding was in September of 2002, and I was jobless and freaking out a bit because I had to have a giant Italian wedding, and it was a little scary at the time. So I was applying to every job possible on whatever this job sites like Workopolis, and no one was responding. And I got really frustrated, and it was all marketing jobs. That's always been my background.
Okay.
And I finally see this job for marketing coordinator at some company called Strategic Coach. I had no idea who they were. I just saw the job posting and I thought, okay, if I need to get their attention, I need to do something different. So instead of sending a resume, I actually designed an ad for myself. And I thought, if I'm going to show them how good I am at marketing, I might as well show them, like, make myself the product and show them. I sent that off. 45 minutes later, I get an email response saying, we've received 500 applications for this job. We only want to interview you. Can you come in tomorrow?
Wow.
Like, whoa, okay, cool. And again, I had no idea who this company was. Like, I didn't know them beforehand. I went in for 6 different interviews.
Wow.
And what I discovered after, so they hired me, and this is how awesome the company was. They said, you're actually you're overqualified for the job you applied for. So we're going to actually create a role for you that matches you. And I thought, whoa, okay, awesome. I was the first ever employee who got hired that wasn't referred by another employee. Wow. And then I was the first person to be interviewed by Babs and Dan. So I went through like the sales director, marketing director, HR director, 4 different interviews, and then Babs and then Dan, just because they wanted to meet me. Mm-hmm. I thought this, and so I got to work there and quickly discovered how incredible the organization was and what they taught, and all the clients who were members or clients of this program. And then they allowed me once a quarter to do what they call workshop direction, which means I sit at the back of the room while there's a coach at the front of the room coaching, but I support the coach, and I got to be in the room with the clients. Okay. And it literally was the best experience ever. And then, 5 p.m. when the team members would go home, I would stay for hours in the storage room reading all of Dan's stuff. I'm like, this is the best. And I felt like I was cheating. I'm like, clients invest a lot of money to be here, and it's very worth it. I'm being paid to be here. Mm-hmm. And then a few years later, it was 2005, my son was born, Michael. And I took a few months off for like paternity leave to spend time with him. And I realized I'm not employable. Like when you have that true entrepreneurial blood, you got to do your own thing. And I thought, if I don't figure this out now, if I don't do this now, I'm never going to do this. So I actually, I left the company. It was my last ever job to start. I was always running my own little businesses, but it was to like go all in on, at the time, marketing, consulting, and coaching. And I made a promise to myself. I said, I want to be the first employee to come back as a client. Mm-hmm. I felt like I was like, I owe them everything. I learned so much from this experience, and it was a dream come true. So I want to gift forward the gift that was given to me. Yeah. So that happened. So in 2011, I was the first employee to come back as a client. Wow. Which is weird and awkward and fun. And then while I was there, they were talking about this thing called Genius Network. Okay. And I had met Joe. So when I was on the marketing team, like running the marketing for the company, Dan introduced me to Joe and said, hey, he's going to help you with this project you're working on for client testimonials. And Joe saw how passionate I was about marketing. And he said, hey, there's this event happening in Scottsdale run by this guy named Dan Kennedy. I had no idea who any of these people were. He said, if you can get yourself to the event, I'll cover your ticket, which was $1,000 or whatever it was. So I told the company why I should go, and they covered the trip. Nice. And then I was Joe's guest at Dan's Renegade Marketing, whatever it was called. That's where I met you originally. Yeah, and he was introducing me to all of these epic humans. Again, I had no idea who they were. I knew nothing about direct response. It just, that event changed my life too. And it was all thanks to working at Strategic Coach and then meeting Joe. And then when I was a client in 2011 at Strategic Coach, them promoting this thing called Genius Network, I thought, oh, I got to go to this thing. And I was scared shitless. Because at the time I was in real estate, and I had this dream of my Archangel business, but I spoke to Kevin Donahue at the time, who was helping Joe out. And he said he guided me to have enough courage to get to that event. And they sat me next to Peter Diamandis and Ray Kurzweil and Naveen Jain. That was my table, my first day at Joe's event.
Nice.
Thinking I used to think I was smart, and now I'm like, I'm the dumbest person at this table. And that's where I met you, and being a part of Genius Network and Strategic Coach changed my life. And it gave me the not only the courage, but also to be around people who were dreaming way bigger than me was the inspiration to realize it was possible for me. And now I want to do that for other people. So that's what I do.
Yeah.
Like, I'll dream as big as possible. Just hang out with me, and your base level will go up. Like you'll be forced to dream bigger because you're around me and the people around us.
Yeah. Wow. Well, so we already know that, Archangel and everything that's happened then, has come. But what are some, or what is one or two of the biggest things that people might not know, even people who know you, that have come as a direct result of your relationship with Dan and Joe?
Oh man, so other relationships that have bonded from those experiences.
Okay.
As an example, I met Nick Nansen at one of Joe's events years ago, who a few years later reached out to me saying, hey, I just made this movie with Russell Brunson that he funded, and it was about human trafficking, and the movie's amazing. And he brought his community together to actually fundraise for the film. And that's how we funded the project. And you have an awesome community. Would you want to do something similar? And I said, absolutely. But I don't want it to be dramatic or like, I want it to be uplifting and joyful and hopeful and meaningful in that sense. And he said, cool, come up with the idea and what you want it to be, and then we'll collaborate. And we did. And so the film's called Dreamer. I just happen to be wearing this shirt today.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
And the movie won 3 Emmy Awards.
Yeah.
Like, now I'm in the movie business. Like, we're going to make more. And I want to start a whole new genre called real life superhero movies, where it's documentary about actual people making big impact. That would have never happened without Joe.
Yep. Wow. Well, Gio, my goal for doing these interviews has always been twofold. It's to give, entrepreneurs and CEOs like yourself the opportunity to share your story, your experience around this, and honor somebody who's had such a profound impact on your life and your business. And for the listeners, who are also entrepreneurs and CEOs and founders, I just want to inspire and motivate them to place an intentional focus on creating more real, meaningful, rewarding, and profitable relationships in their life. And because relationships, as an entrepreneur, relationships are the most valuable asset we possess. Everything else comes from that. And so it's the most valuable thing we can possibly invest in. And we totally accomplished that today. And I want to thank you for taking the time to do this, to share from your heart. For anybody that is like, man, Kev, I love this guy, Gio. I love the way he shows up. I'd love to learn more about what they're doing at Archangel. What's the best way for them to go about doing that?
There's website is archangel.cc. And then the best thing is to follow me on, let's say, Instagram at Gifted with Gio, GIFTED, WITHGIO, and just DM me and say you heard me on this show, and let's connect.
Awesome. Any last words you'd like to share before we call it a wrap?
To me, relationships are everything.
Yeah.
Both from building your peer group and network, building your own community, joining other communities of people who are like you, because all growth happens faster in community. And if someone is listening or watching this and feeling isolated and alone, especially after the past few years, then find your people. And
Yeah,
if you're one of us, find us.
that's right. That's right. Awesome. Well, Gio, thank you again. It was great having this conversation with you. Really appreciate you. And yeah, thank you, man.
Thanks, Kevin.